Once again, you're welcome to this second segment where I'm still going to be talking about exactly what happened with the farming era. Why is it that the prices of those various community coins actually went down? That is after a while. So I'm still going, just like I said in the first part, which I believe you actually took time to watch till the very end. This one is actually a continuation of that particular first part. So like I introduced in the first part, I said at the beginning, very fewer persons joined the business, meaning that they bought farms and loaded the farms with, any of those community coins, whether PLC, PLCU, or PLCU Classic, or PLCU X, whichever. Now, on the long run, many people who started hearing about the business were rushing also to join so as to mint the coins also from their own smartphones. And since a huge demand was placed on the coins because they needed to purchase the coins from these people who were already producing and selling in the market so as to load their own farms with those coins and become potential producers of the same coins. So after a while, these many people who actually joined the business later on also became producers of what? The same coins and had to be supplying the market with those coins. Unfortunately, very fewer number of people, in fact, very few people were still willing to join the business again. Why? Because probably a majority of these people who were now selling were now telling them that no, the business is no longer profitable because the prices at which we are selling the coins right now is no longer the same as the price at which we bought the coins to load our own farms. So because of that, a fewer number of people were willing to join the business again because of the negative sentiments that were now expressed by these people. And since the number of new people joining the business was becoming smaller and smaller, which means these people had to come to the market to meet a majority of people selling those coins. Yet only few people were willing to purchase those coins to load in their own farms. What happens? Since they are very few in number, means the market forces were now concentrated in the hands of these fewer persons. Means they were the ones imposing their price onto these people because there are many of them willing to sell. So they had to compromise their own price positions because they needed to sell faster to these people. So what was the consequence? The price dropped. Good. Now, to understand this better, it goes back to the interpretation of this graph, which I made an extensive explanation on, in the first segment of this presentation. This is just a simple illustration. For instance, assuming that this is a digital asset, like I told you, all volatile digital assets have this pattern of movement. If at the beginning of it, let's say the price of the digital asset was still down here, and maybe you told somebody or you recommended it to somebody, or instead of you purchasing the digital asset at this price, probably you told yourself, you said, no, if you purchase at this price, or if you purchase the digital asset at this level, you don't see yourself making substantial gain from it immediately. Also means you have to wait for a very long time, and probably you're somebody who is very, very impatient. You waited until the asset kept gaining value. Probably it went right up to 1,000. This is 1,000 here. Instead of you getting to purchase the digital asset at the price rate of 1,000, probably you still estimated that the 1,000 price rate is still too small. You kept quiet. You didn't bother to purchase. Maybe the price actually went right up and touched this peak here. What is the price value here? It's now at 50,000. Maybe you now see it at 50,000 and said, okay, the price is now very, very interesting in the market. What do? You now decide to get into the market at this level, at this peak, and you purchase your own asset, or you purchase a certain quantity of that asset at the rate of what? 50,000. Maybe after purchasing at 50,000, your expectation is that the price will keep moving upward so that you can get back into the market and sell at the higher price and you take your profit. But unfortunately for you, you realize that after this price, what happened? There was a decline. In fact, the price was instead seriously on the fall. Now, somewhere within this interval here, you are still expecting that a miracle will happen for the price to return to where it was, or for the movement to turn and start going back upward. Maybe you exercise some patience. It might, take on this nosedive for like, let's say 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. Maybe it's extending into a week, maybe more, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe 1 month. You are expecting the price movement to go upward again. But it keeps going down. It keeps moving downward. maybe you would have exercised patience all along till this period, maybe at the rate of $500. That is where you get gripped by the highest level of panic, by the highest level of fear, because to you, in your mind, is that the thing is actually heading for a complete crash. It is actually going down to hit zero. What do? The panic grips you the highest at this level. You now decide to sell off your digital asset because you are scared that if you don't sell, it will continue to go down in price and maybe eventually hit zero. When you now sell off the asset, you'll be selling it at the rate of what? $500. An asset which you bought in the market at the rate of what? $50,000. You are now coming to give it out completely to somebody who is going to take it away from you at the rate of what? $500. But the unfortunate thing is that you will hardly ask yourself the question, if you are really this scared that everything is going to disappear from the market or it is going down to zero, but you don't bother to ask yourself that the person who is buying it from you, is it that the person is being very stupid, that he too is not scared that if he buys it can eventually go down to zero and he or she loses his own money? You usually don't ask that question. You're only fighting to go and sell because you're panicking. But you don't bother putting yourself in the shoes of the person who is buying. You think the person who is buying is stupid? He is not stupid. You will give up your asset which you bought at the rate of $50,000 to somebody at the rate of what? $500. Look at the huge difference. When you sell at the rate of $500, that is a very big loss. This person will collect it from you at that price rate, $500. Maybe the price might continue to go right down and maybe eventually bottoms at this level, which is not a problem for this person who got yours at $500. If he even was wise enough, he would have waited for you down here. But unfortunately, since you ran out of patience and you were able to sell here, okay, so he got it from you at this price rate, which is still better than getting it at this price rate. So what happens? The person eventually holds on to it because the price of the asset is still going down. The person will not sell because if he sells here and then, it means that he would have made losses instead. So he decides to hold on to the digital product. He doesn't sell. By the time it bottoms here and it starts rising again, it is moving upward. If it reaches here, it means that the market has come back to this person who bought. It means that the asset is now worth the same $500. So if the person sells here, he's going to recover his money without any profit. But the person is not going to sell. He will still continue to hold on to the product or the digital asset. When the price keeps moving upward, already somewhere here, the person is already in profit. If he sells, he's already going to make profit. Because at this level, if he sells, he will be selling at the rate of something higher than the 500 at which he bought. He bought the product from you. So if he holds on to it again, maybe a little longer, and maybe eventually decides to sell at this point, if he sells here, he will now be selling that product at the rate of what? $80,000. A product he bought from you at the rate of what? $500. He is now selling it at the rate of $80,000, sorry. Now look at the huge difference between $80,000 and $500. $80,000 minus $500, that gives you around about what? $75,000. That's $79,500. That is the difference. Look at how big that difference is. So he who was wise enough to buy the product from you, who sold off yours out of panic and was able to hold on to it to sell at this price rate, would have made a huge profit. So the truth be told, the two of you are in the same market, but he is the only one who has a good story to tell, and you are the only person who has a bad story to tell. Why? Because of your ignorance, because you acted out of panic. You sold your assets to somebody at a cheaper rate. The person bought, and since he understands the way digital currencies operate, he knows how to do the interpretation of this graph well. He waited until the price came right up to this level. He entered the market, sold again. Another person who understands the market also very well could decide to wait until the price reaches this maximum point for the person to enter the market. And if such a person does that, then such a person will now be selling at a higher price, even more than this $80,000, which means the person is even going to make a higher profit. Once it reaches this maximum point, what happens? It starts dropping down again. So this person who came and sold here at the rate of $80,000 has already made profit. If he is a wise person, he can extract, let's say, 50% out of that profit that he has made from this trade. He comes down here with a 50% of the profit that he has made. Once he bottoms here, he goes into the market, He meets another person who is selling also out of panic because the person too thinks he's going to disappear at zero. He will come here and buy also from the person. This time around, you'll be buying at a cheaper rate even than the rate at which he bought from you here. So once he purchases, he holds on to it. During the next rise, the person will enter the market again and sell at the higher price and do what? Make a bigger profit. This is how people make money in cryptocurrencies. But if you don't know that this H here is meant for people to sell the assets they already previously bought at the lower price, then that is where your problems begin. When you find yourself on this falling H, this is the period which is good for somebody to buy the asset. If you are not bought previously, this interval is meant for you to buy. If you eventually buy somewhere here and it starts rising here, this means this is a good period for you to sell that product in the market to make what? Profit. But this is not a good interval for you to come and buy. If you buy here, you are losing instead. So this is the right moment to sell. This is the right moment to buy. This is the right moment to sell. This is the right moment to buy. And this is the right moment to sell. So if you don't know how to interpret this, this is exactly where your problems begin in cryptocurrencies. Like you will always be having negative or very bad stories to tell about cryptocurrencies simply because of your ignorance, because of your lack of basic knowledge in the business. So that is why it's imperative for everybody to learn these basics. I've given you just the basics about it. There is still more to this, which I cannot give within the context of this particular video. But if you want to have more on this basic knowledge that I've just given you, then you might probably need to subscribe to my academy so that I can train you properly and show you everything there is to understand. But this is the very, in fact, in simplest terms, this is the essential part, the basics of the basics that everybody who wants to get started a journey in the domain of cryptocurrencies should be able to possess as knowledge. Very, very important. Now, back to Platinworld. We are still talking about the community coins, notably PLC, PLCU, PLCU Classic. I've just shown you exactly why many people actually lost money or why the prices of those currencies went down. Now, from this explanation, which I made here, you should already understand. Now, to make you understand better again here, using this graph as to why PLC, PLCU, PLCUX, and Classic actually went down in price the way they did. At the beginning of it, this is how the beginning looked like. At the beginning here, very fewer persons bought the farms and loaded them. So over time, a majority of people in the market started joining the business by doing what? By purchasing their own farms and looking for those coins also to load in their farms. And they had to get those coins from where? From the exchange. Who were the people selling those coins on the exchange? Those who had joined earlier on and were now producing the coins and selling them on the exchange, which means there became a huge demand. The demand became very, very high for those various community coins because people needed to buy them to do what? To load their farms. That was why the price was actually moving upward. Why was the price moving upward? Because there were many people who were willing to buy. And whenever the demand for the coin is high compared to a small supply in the market, what happens to the price? The price has to move upward. So it was on this age that we noticed that the price of those assets actually went up to as high as $100 and something thousand. So it went that high, which means that when the price actually went to the highest point here, there were some people who joined this business at this moment when the price already went as high as $100 and something thousand. That was the moment some people came and bought their own coins to go and load in their farms. And so since they came and bought their own coins at this rate, loaded their own farms, and eventually became what? Producers of the same coins. So it therefore means that a higher number of people started producing the same coins again and selling to the market, which means that the market started receiving a huge supply of the coins, which means that the supply started becoming higher compared to the demand because fewer people were now joining the business. And since fewer number of people were joining the business, as opposed to a high number of people who were now producing the coins and selling in the market, what happens to the price? The price started falling down. Why? Because many more people were now producing the coins and selling in the market against a smaller number of people who were now joining the business and looking for those coins to fill in their own farms. So that is the explanation as to why the prices went down. But the question here is, was there a possibility for us to have stopped this price from going down? The answer is yes. And that could have been done by these people who were selling the price, the coins back here. If there are so many people here with those coins who are willing to sell, and the number of people who are willing to buy is extremely very small compared to the number of people who are selling, does it mean that the price obligatorily has to go down? Of course, there's a possibility to prevent, or that would have prevented this price from falling down. And that one would have been ensured by these people. But they failed to do it. I'm not saying that they are the only ones who failed to do it. The company also contributed this quarter. I'm going to explain to you the aspect or the contribution that the company actually made in bringing down the price of the coin. But if we were to weigh it on a scale, I would say 90% was largely contributed by members of this community. The company contributed just 10% to bring down the price of the coin. 90% of the contribution was done by these people. How? Very simple. Take a look at this. We have a majority of people here who are willing to sell to a fewer number of people. Don't forget, these people are very desperate. They have no choice than to get the coins from these people to load in their farm, without which they cannot be able to produce the coins. So the bottom line, or what these people would have done is, they would have come to a unanimous agreement to say, okay, this is exactly the situation in the market. All of us are going to team up to say, nobody in this community will be able to buy any coin from any member here at a lower price. Meaning that these people could agree. There was a time when the CEO was always encouraging people, please, if you go to the exchange, don't sell your coin below a certain price. Don't go below. No matter how tough the situation is on your part, don't go below that price. Set your price order and stay there. Don't move below. Meaning that if all these people had agreed that, okay, we are going to sell one coin at the rate of, let's say, $50,000, and everybody agrees on that, and they decide to stay on that level, then anybody from this community, because naturally, since there's an imbalance here, the people here are fewer in number compared to this, which means, naturally speaking, the market forces are now concentrated in the hands of these people. They are the ones who now have the right to move the market in their own direction, because these people are of the majority as compared to them. But these people could say, yes, it's true, the market forces are in their hands, but we can still deprive them of making use of those market forces by doing what? By agreeing on a unique price and staying on it. And these people will have no choice than to come and buy the coins from these people at that fixed rate, which they have all agreed on. They will have no choice than to buy at that price. But unfortunately, since all of this way, even if they do that agreement, some people will definitely say, no, I have a pressing issue. I have my house rents to pay. I have utility bills to cater for. I have this or that I need to handle as soon as possible. So I cannot continue to wait here for somebody to come and eventually decide to take from me. Since we have so many in number, even if we agree that we are going to sell at a price rate of 50,000, how many persons are here at the moment? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many of us are here? More than 5. What if these people eventually agree to buy at that rate of 50,000? The truth is that they cannot buy from all of us here. So they can choose 5 people and buy from them. What of the rest of us who will be here, who will not have who to sell to? So what are we going to do? So because of that, what happens? Some people decided to start compromising their position. They started this, in fact, selling at lower price rates. Why? Because they want to offer, better opportunities or better advantages for these people to come and take from them. Each one will want to sell first before the other. And for somebody to want to sell first means he needs to compromise his situation very well by dropping down the price, to go down to a level that will be more attractive to these people to buy from them. So if this one had to set his price, let's say at 49,000, because he wants somebody to buy from him instead of buying at the agreed rate of 50,000, the next person will see that this one has dropped his own to 49. He will decide to drop his own at what? 48. So that somebody can rather buy from him than buying from this person at 49. This person will see him dropping at 48. He will do what? He will drop his own at 47. This one will see and drop his own to 46. Another person will decide to drop down to 40. The next person will drop down to 30-something. Another person drops his own to 20. Another person goes down to 11. Some other person goes down to 10, 9, 8, 7, just like that. because each one of them wants to sell faster to these people than the other. In the course of doing that, what happened? That is how the price was actually going down, because these people were not respecting the terms of the agreement that let's all sell at the rate of 50,000. But since some people will say, oh, the money we invested, we borrowed it from somewhere, we need to pay back the loan, that's why we need to pay faster. Oh, I need to pay utility bills, I need to pay my house rent, I need to do this, I need to do that. Because of that, they had to compromise their positions in the market and they start selling at cheaper rates. That was what actually led to the downward movement that you are seeing here, because people were now selling out of panic that, okay, since everybody is just dropping their prices, if I don't also drop, what if the price eventually goes down to zero and I lose? Then for me to do that, it's better I just get into the market. Even if I am not so having, in fact, even if I'm not having a pressing issue to do with money, let me just sell faster so that other people don't get to bring down the price of the asset in the market. And at the end, when I will definitely have need to go and sell, I'll go and sell at a price which is no longer encouraging. So it's better we just sell everything off now. So since everybody was now selling at compromising, price values, the price actually led to what all of us noticed in the market. So in that case, how is the company supposed to be blamed here? How do you blame the CEO, or how do you blame the company? Because it is not the company that asked the people to sell at these various prices. No, people were just choosing their own prices to sell at. Out of what? Out of panic, out of fear. So how do you blame the company in such a situation? The company cannot be blamed for this, because the company cannot go to the market to prevent somebody from selling at his own price. The company can't do that, because the market is not owned by the company. When I talk of market here, I'm referring to exchanges. For instance, Coinsbit. Coinsbit was a major market where all of those assets were selling. And the CEO of all of those community coins is not the owner of Coinsbit. So he cannot go there to impose on people to say, no, you must not sell at this price rate. You must sell at that particular price rate. He can only advise the members of the community, meaning those who have the asset in hand. Please don't sell below this. Because if you sell below this price, you will be obliging another person to sell also below your own price. And in the course of doing that, everybody will keep compromising their position. The consequence is that all of you will suffer, because the price will finally come down and all of you will go through those difficult times. So the company has no blame in this. You can't blame the company here. That's what I'm saying. Those of you were always complaining, oh, Alex is doing this to the market. Oh, the company is doing this, that, blah, blah, blah. If you are blaming the company was based on the fact that this price was dropping in the market, then it definitely means you are also in the group of those who refer to as cryptocurrency illiterates, because you are putting the blame on the wrong person. How do you blame a company for, for being responsible for this price drop as a result of the fact that people were deciding to sell their assets at their own prices? The CEO did something by asking people not to sell below a certain price, but people violated all of that. So how do you blame him for that? So it's probably because of ignorance. It's true, you borrowed money, you invested. Okay, your expectations were not met with. It's but natural that you should get angry. And usually when you are angry, you are first, the first thing you want to do is look for a culprit, look for somebody to hang the blame on. And that's exactly what happened to our company CEO. So everybody was just using him as the reference. So people just wanted to upload their blames on him. But he could not have been blamed in all of that, because number one, he was not the owner of that market. Number two, he gave, instructions that people should not sell below certain prices, but people went against that. So how do you blame him for that? Now, at some point, when he saw it, he decided to come up with a measure just to prevent, or just to help members of the community not to keep on destroying the price in the market. Now, what was the measure that he brought up? He decided to say, okay, to help members of the community not to further downgrade the price of this particular asset, he now negotiated with the owner of the exchange, Coinsbit exchange, and told the owner that there is something I want to implement in your market. If you give me the permission to do it, we can have an agreement for me to be able to put this measure in place. So much so that, excuse me, the prices of this community coins should not keep going down, because I've given the instruction to members of the community, but they are not willing to respect it. So let me help them, because if I don't do it, by the time they keep destroying the price, they'll eventually come back to me to start blaming me ignorantly, thinking I'm the person doing it. So let me try to help them by putting in place this measure. Now, what was the measure he put in place? He now told the exchange to say, he now said, we are going to reduce the number of coins that each person can be able to sell in this market in a day. Meaning that, what was the essence of him doing that? Because we all know that the price of anything which is sellable is given by what? The demand for it divided by the supply. So he decided to reduce the supply. If you make a reduction in the supply, even if the demand stays constant, the price of that particular product which is sellable will definitely have to go back upward. Even if it doesn't happen in a day, it might not happen in 1 week, it might not happen in a month. But considering that formula, any reduction in supply, irrespective of what the demand is, provided the demand doesn't reduce also, if the demand is just constant or continuously increasing, but with a reducing supply, then the price must go up, must have a tendency to move upward. So it was on the basis of that the company now decided to impose what? A maximum number of coins that each person can be able to sell on the exchange in a day. That effort was going to contribute in a reduction in the supply. What was going to be the positive consequence of that? A price rise. Now, the price did not actually rise. The price actually stayed stable at a certain level. It stayed somewhere. It did not continuously go down. It actually stayed somewhere for a while. But that notwithstanding, even if there was that constant reduction in the market in terms of the number of coins that were being sold on the exchange, since we already had a majority of people, imagine that you had, if you were supposed to create that restriction on 50 people who are selling in the market on daily basis, like you limit the quantity each person can sell. Now the community has grown beyond 50. Maybe we now have close to about 2 million people. Even if you create a restriction on the number of coins sold in a day, but now we have what? Close to about 2-point-something million people selling in that market on the same day. Even with that restriction put there, the price will still continue to go down. It will still go down because of a higher number of people who are now selling at that reduced price. If the CEO had not created, if he had not created that reduction on the number of coins that can be sold in the market in one day, then the price of those community coins would have gone down to zero. It would have touched the zero value in, let's say, a maximum of 3 days or 4 days or 1 week. All of us would have noticed that the price had already gone down to zero. But because of that restriction that he put in place, that was why some of those assets dropped down in value and went down to as low as, I think, $50. So if that restriction was not put there, it would have gone down to zero. That was the second effort that he put in place. But remember, the exchange is not owned by him. So he saw that people were continuously doing those things out of panic, out of lack of knowledge on how it's supposed to work. And then he too needed to put in place other strategies. Since the first two strategies he brought up have failed. First, the one he gave instruction for people not to sell below a certain value, they violated that one. Secondly, he restricted the quantity that could be sold on the exchange per day. But the number of suppliers, since there were so many users, so many people who own those coins, they were still selling those restricted amounts in the market. It still amounted to nothing because of the huge population that the community already had. You get the point? So he needed to put in place other strategies. What were other strategies he needed to put in place, or that he eventually put in place? One was building a powerful ecosystem around those coins. And by ecosystem, we mean putting in place products and services that people could actually benefit from using these community coins. The first one, the master debit card, which he brought up, with the hope that people could actually load their community coins onto them and then go directly to the ATM machine and withdraw the fiat equivalent without necessarily taking those coins to the market to add to the quantity that is already in the market. So he needed to create a deviation of those coins where people could take those coins to without necessarily taking them to the market, because the price of every coin is determined first by the market. The market is where the price determination is done, because it has to be subjected to the law of demand and supply. So it needed to be done there. That was number one. Number two, he brought up what? He brought up the marketplace, Platinworld, where people could be able to buy certain products and pay directly using PLC. For those of you who still remember, to use PLC or any of those other community coins. Now he had to develop that. That marketplace was actually put in place. And people were able to purchase things from Amazon, Alibaba, eBay, Shopify, and the rest. Some people were able to do that at the beginning. But since the population had already grown, and people needed to take advantage of all of that, unfortunately, those products could not work well, meaning that the debit card could not work well as what? As well as, you know, the marketplace that was put in place where people could purchase it from Amazon, Alibaba, eBay, Shopify, and the rest. It was not working. Why? Because of the blockchain on which the company was running these products. The old blockchain, which was built on the Litecoin model, on the Litecoin technology. That blockchain had limitations in the fact that its efficiency was below 70%. Since its efficiency usually is below 70% is even a too high a value. In fact, it was below 50%. Let me put it that way. So its performance was below 50%. That was why some of you noticed that in your effort to purchase something from Amazon or Alibaba or eBay or Shopify, so as to do the payment using what? PLC, for instance, you will click on a particular product, expecting the product to display the QR code so that you do the payment of the PLCs. You see, you know, when you click, you realize that it will keep turning on the same spot for a very long time. After some time, it even disappears completely, asking you again to make another request. So imagine for a community of more than 2 million people wanting to buy products from such a website with that level of traffic, and then dealing with a blockchain that was below expectations in terms of performance. What happened? The company found a lot of difficulties in making those products operate well. So the company needed a better blockchain, which was the smart blockchain. And all along, the company had been working on that smart blockchain. To work, in fact, for somebody to own a smart blockchain is not chocolate. To build a smart blockchain is capital intensive. It is time intensive also. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of money. The company had to work on this blockchain for way over 7 years to work on the smart blockchain. How many cryptocurrencies in the world worth the name own smart blockchain? Go and check. How many of them do have smart blockchains? So this is what many people did not understand. So because the company could not run these products effectively on that old blockchain, it needed a smart blockchain. That was why those products failed. And since people could not buy these things using the PLC, PLCU, PLCUX, and so on, because it was not efficient running on the old blockchain, the company needed the smart blockchain to be put in place. And thank God the company now has the smart blockchain. Since that could not have been obtained during that era of the farming, that was why it was appearing to be almost impossible for the prices of the PLC, PLCU, PLCU Classic, and PLCUX to rise up again, following the expectation that people had. Because for the prices to rise again, it needed what? It needed a change in the mentality of the members of the community. And of course, there's no way their mentality would have changed without the company giving them reasons, you know, to have that mentality change. And how was the company to give them reasons to have that mentality change? Is through the putting in place of those products. The company put them, but the products were not working. So how do I continue to invest in a cryptocurrency when there is no particular product that I can buy using that currency? When there is nobody who can accept that currency from me in the market when I go to sell? So why do I continue investing in it? That is where the problem came. So the community members became discouraged because they didn't see the possibility of them using those coins to buy anything from Amazon or Alibaba or Shopify or eBay, which was actually the intention that the company had. So since it was not working because of the old blockchain, the less performing blockchain that the company had at the time, so the community members also could not be blamed. Why should I continue to invest in something that I can't be able to make use of it at the end of the day? So what should I do? Let me look for means to sell it off at the cheapest rate that I can sell to anybody who is willing to buy. And that's exactly what members of the community were doing. That's why we realized that almost everybody was on the edge of selling. Nobody was buying. Nobody was purchasing. Everybody was selling. And since everybody is selling, what is happening to the price? The price is coming down. Why? Because of a majority of the people being here. How many people are willing to buy? A small number of people. So what was the consequence? A constant drop in the price of the coin. So this should make you understand why PLC, PLCU, PLCU Classic, and PLCUX actually went down in value. So now you see that this explanation I've just given is a blame that is put on members of the community. This is how members of the communities contributed, in their own way to kill the prices of those community coins, not the company. Now, let me explain to you the part that the company played in all of this, that even I myself, I'm also blaming the company in that area. So if you join me to blame the company in that area, then you're actually doing a good thing. It means that you're understanding something. You're understanding something that has a lot of sense in it. But if you are blaming the company, you know, from the angle of the fact that, oh, the price of the coin is going down, blah, 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 people are selling, the price is dropping on the exchange. If that is the angle from where your blame is coming from, sorry, I'm not with you on that part. And that equally means you are also very ignorant. You're also very, very ignorant. You are blaming the wrong person. You are putting the blames in the wrong area. Now, what is the area in which you and I are supposed to join hands to blame the company? Even though the company too has admitted that, yes, it made a mistake in that area. That's also one good thing you have to understand. The company has always admitted it. Now, what is this area? It is in the area of networking. Now, for networkers, those who were, you know, building teams with this business, that is where the company faltered. The company made a very serious mistake there that equally contributed to bringing down the price of this asset. How did he do that? Those who were building networks and rather building teams and qualifying for ranks, you realize that when somebody qualifies for a particular rank, the company gave this person, excuse me, rank bonuses in terms of what? In terms of the same community coins. Okay, for instance, if somebody qualified for the rank of, let's say, J, and the company gave the person a rank bonus equal to 100 PLCs, or let me say PLC, yes, let me take PLC, for instance, as an example. If somebody qualified for the rank of J and the company gave the person 100 PLC coins, think of the number of people who were qualifying for the rank of J in one day. Let's say in one day you had up to, let's say, 10,000 people who qualify for the rank of J in just one day. And each one of them is supposed to be entitled to a reward or a rank bonus of what? 100 PLC coins. So if you multiply 100 PLC coins by 10,000 people, what does that give you? That gives you 1 million PLCs. That means the company in one day has just given out what? 1 million PLCs to people, to individuals. All of these 10,000 people collecting a total of what? 1 million PLCs. Where do you think they was to keep the PLCs? Everybody took their PLCs to the market. So they went and added to the quantity of PLCs already in the market. So what was the company doing? The company indirectly was increasing the supply of the coin in the market instead of looking for means to reduce the supply. They were instead increasing. That one was just for the rank of J. How many people were qualifying for the rank of Pearl? Those qualifying for the rank of Sapphire, those qualifying for the rank of Ruby, qualifying for the rank of Emerald, qualifying for the rank of Diamond. I still remember anybody who qualified for the rank of Diamond back then was given up to 5,000 PLCs. Imagine 5,000 PLCs. How many people were qualifying for the rank of Diamond? So imagine that people were qualifying for all of these ranks. They were getting compensations in terms of what? In terms of PLCs. In the CEO's mind, in his mind, he was telling himself that if he gives them these PLCs, they would rather take the PLCs to do what? To load in their farms. Unfortunately, people were taking these PLCs and sending them directly to the market, increasing the supply in the market. What was the consequence? Too much availability of PLC coins in the market. Consequence, price drop because of a huge supply. That is exactly the same thing that happens to PLCU. Those same rank bonuses were paid in terms of the same PLCU. When it was later baptized to PLCU Classic, same problem. PLCU X came. The same bonuses were paid in the same PLCU X coins. So all of that was increasing the supply of those coins in the market. What was the consequence? Price drop. So that is the area in which we are blaming the company. Assuming that the company did not pay those rank bonuses or those commissions, even referral bonuses too. Referral bonuses too were paid in terms of those same coins. So imagine you're paying referral bonuses, paying rank bonuses using the same coins. That means the company indirectly was helping to increase the supply of the coins in the market. Consequence, price drop. Assuming the company was not doing that, then the quantity of coins in the market would have been the quantity taken by the members of the community willfully to the market.